SAO is straight up garbage. It's bland, boring, and completely hollow, like someone threw together the most generic ideas they could think of, dragging you through pointless plot lines that go nowhere, and characters so flat they might as well be cardboard cutouts. The pacing is terrible, the dialogue is cringeworthy, and every emotional moment feels so fake it's almost insulting. It doesn't even try to be interesting. There's nothing redeeming about it. SAO is a waste of time and an embarrassment to anime. Skip SAO and do yourself a favor. Watch something that's actually worth your time. Sitting through SAO is like voluntarily watching paint dry, except less exciting. The show is a complete waste of time. Don't fall for the hype. SAO isn't worth a second of your attention. If you want to watch something good, check out the Goosebumps movie. It's an awesome mix of horror and comedy that's a ton of fun from start to finish. Based on the famous novels by R.L. Stine, it brings all the creepy monsters and spooky vibes to life in a way that's exciting and entertaining. Whether you're a fan of the books or just looking for a great movie to enjoy, Goosebumps is definitely worth your time. Here's why Goosebumps is miles better than SAO. Afterwards, let's talk about some other horror movies worth watching.
Goosebumps is a 2015 American horror comedy movie. It's based on the children's book series of the same name written by R.L. Stine. Let's take a look at everything Goosebumps does right. This large, old-fashioned house is a distinctive feature in many children's horror movies. It helps set the tone for the rest of the movie. Notice how the camera moves down. It makes the viewer feel smaller. This shot is pretty creepy. It definitely makes it seem like you're being watched. And it gives you a very unsettling feeling. Now Zach knows that he's being watched. This scene also tells the viewers that there's definitely something strange about Zach's new neighbors. Gail's request here makes us listen for what she has to say. However, the tension is broken with a loud noise to make us jump, and then it's followed with humor. The balance between humor and scariness are part of what made the original Goosebumps series so popular. It also helps keep this movie from becoming too intense. Pretty hilarious conversation here. The banter between the characters is very funny. It's nice how Zach and Hannah are able to hit it off so quickly. Jack Black was a great choice to play R.L. Stine in this movie. It definitely seems very believable that someone like him will be writing all these creepy children's books. The alias Mr. Shivers is a reference to the Shivers book series. It was a series of horror-themed children's novels that were very similar to Goosebumps. Many people even consider the Shivers book to be a shameless ripoff of the Goosebumps series. R.L. Stine's use of Shivers as a fake name is a nice tongue-in-cheek reference to this. Some nice foreshadowing here. The fall dance will be very important during the climax of the movie. This movie does a great job giving the audience subtle hints. Hannah doesn't go to school because she's not real. She's just another character from one of the Goosebumps novels. This movie has some amazing production design. This scene gives off a sort of magical feel. Some nice foreshadowing here. Something bad does happen later in the movie since Zach doesn't stay away. The cops in this movie are pretty hilarious. It's funny how Officer Brooks thought that audiophile was something bad. It's fitting how Zach learned lockpicking from YouTube. Nowadays you can pretty much learn how to do anything from watching YouTube videos. There's tutorial/guide videos on everything you can possibly imagine. The clock here is a reference to the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, the 28th book in the Goosebumps series. This movie is loaded with Easter eggs and other references for all the Goosebumps fans to find. Nice Easter egg here. The Ghost Next Door is actually the book that Hannah's character is from. Some amazing visual effects here. The Abominable Snowman actually looks pretty realistic. We know that the Abominable Snowman went this way because all of the car alarms are going off. This is a very clever way to remind the viewer about the present danger when it's not immediately visible. Pretty hilarious moment here. It's funny how the movie even acknowledges how incompetent the cops are in this town. The skating rink was a great choice for the setting of this scene. It allows for a lot of situations where the characters are close to obtaining the book, but then lose it at the very last second. That is actually true. R.L. Stine has sold about 400 million copies of his books in total. On the other hand, Stephen King has only sold about 350 million copies of his books. However, you do hear people talking about Stephen King a lot more often than you hear people talking about R.L. Stine. Slappy was a great choice for the main antagonist of this movie, because he is the most popular villain from the Goosebumps book series. He even has his own spin-off series. Additionally, Jack Black is the one who voices Slappy. That's a nice pun. The pulling strings part of that line usually refers to how puppets are controlled by strings. That is true. As I mentioned before, R.L. Stine has indeed sold about 400 million copies of his books. This makes him one of the best-selling fiction authors of all time. There's actually a book called Slappy's Revenge that was written after the movie came out. As you would imagine, the book is about Slappy's guide to getting revenge. Jack Black is toying with the fourth wall here, as this movie includes every monster R.L. Stine has ever created. These sort of tongue-in-cheek moments are scattered throughout the movie, in order to keep the older audience engaged. This actually actually makes sense. According to his website, R.L. Stine was inspired to start writing after finding an old typewriter in his attic when he was a kid. The Invisible Boy is also voiced by Jack Black. This means that the only monsters in this movie that have speaking lines, Slappy and the Invisible Boy, are both voiced by Jack Black. The book that the giant mantis appears in is called The Shocker on Shock Street. This is very ironic since the book refers to Shock Street, as a series of movies similar to Elm Street. This movie makes great use of audio cues to introduce the monsters. This builds a lot more tension than if they just showed the monsters first. This is a brilliant use of creative cinematography to show both the werewolf and the other characters at the same exact time. Most movies would probably just show back-to-back shots, but this is a great way to incorporate the grocery store itself into the movie and avoid an overused cliche. This is a great plot twist. Hannah is also not real. It definitely makes sense because R.L. Stine said that he had no friends, so he had to create his own friends. According to his website, R.L. Stine was a very shy kid. He liked to stay inside and write instead of go out and play. In the Ghost Next Door book, Hannah thinks that she's an ordinary kid with a ghost living next door. At the end of the novel, she finds out that she is actually the ghost. Finding out that Hannah is a ghost in this movie offers a similar twist as the book. Pretty hilarious moment here. It's funny how the school is doing a play about The Shining. As stated earlier in the movie, lots more people talk about Stephen King, even though R.L. Stine has sold way more books in total than Stephen King. Even the music during the dance scene here is keeping with the creepy theme of the movie. If you listen closely, you can hear the lyrics, "Off with your head, dance till you're dead," and "Heads will roll." It's cool to see all of R.L. Stine's monsters in one single frame. I'm sure that the people who grew up reading the Goosebumps novels are feeling very nostalgic right now. It's nice to see all the character development in this movie. Champ used to be scared of everything. However, this time he was able to overcome his fear and save the girl he has a crush on. This movie does a great job breaking up the tense moments with some humor. Using this plot device through the whole movie keeps it very lighthearted. Listen closely to the mix of low footsteps and high-pitched music fading in here. This movie has some great sound design. Another nice Easter egg here. The funhouse is from the TV series The Haunting Hour, based off of the Goosebumps books. Dylan Minnette, the actor who plays Zack in this movie, played the character Chad in the episode Funhouse. That's definitely very fitting. Using the funhouse in the climax here is a brilliant way of heightening the tension. Additionally, it creates a very memorable ending. This shot shows that Slappy is actually R.L. Stine's inner demon. This is a much deeper moment that you will find in most family movies. It looks like R.L. Stine has seen Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. The high ground does indeed give you an advantage in combat. It's refreshing to see an act of complete selflessness from such a young character. If all the monsters get sucked into the book, then that also means that Hannah will disappear too. These sorts of messages are extremely important to the younger viewers. This is the first time R.L. Stine truly stands up to Slappy. This shows that he is overcoming his inner demon. Also notice how R.L. Stine differentiates himself from the dummy by using his own name. This is a significant moment in R.L. Stine's character arc, when he separates himself from the fictional world he created. Like R.L. Stine, Zack also has to let go. Hannah here is symbolic of Zack's dead father, and Zack has to learn to let go of the past. Also, this is very similar to the ending of The Ghost Next Door, the book where Hannah's character is from. At the end of the book, Hannah realizes that she is a ghost and doesn't belong. As she is fading away, she tells Danny to never forget about her. Zack has clearly grown here. He is no longer the boy he was at the beginning of the movie. Now Zack is a man who can take care of himself and his loved ones. Once again, it's nice to see all the character development in this movie. R.L. Stine has grown as well. He chooses to step into the real world, instead of dwelling on his monsters and the fictional world he created. The Goosebumps books purposely do not put any of its child characters in true danger, so it's significant that they show this character alive and well. This character is the one who was attacked by the giant praying mantis. A lot of people probably would have otherwise assumed he was dead. A cameo by the real R.L. Stine is the ultimate Easter egg. He plays the drama teacher Mr. Black, while the real Mr. Black plays the English teacher Mr. Stine. This is just brilliant. We expect the scene to end with Jack Black saying Hannah will always be in Zack's heart, but instead we get to see her again. It's nice how there's a happy ending to this movie. This sets the movie up perfectly for the sequel. Perhaps we will get to see the Invisible Boy get his revenge in the sequel. Some great end credits here. It definitely fits with the whole theme and tone of the movie. Well, that's it for this video. What did you think of Goosebumps? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Also, let me know which is your favorite horror movie. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos. Also, don't forget to turn on notifications for my channel so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
As you can see, Goosebumps is an absolute blast. It's packed with fun moments, clever humor, and great acting that brings the spooky world of R.L. Stine's books to life. The mix of thrills and laughs keeps it engaging from start to finish, making it a movie that's enjoyable for all ages. It's definitely worth watching, and is guaranteed to keep you entertained the whole way through. Goosebumps is better than SAO in every possible way. Where Goosebumps delivers great storytelling, humor, and memorable characters, SAO fails miserably at all of it. Now, let's talk about some other underrated horror movies worth watching.
The Rental is a 2020 American horror movie. If you're unsure about the ending and want to know what comes next, then you definitely came to the right place. In this video, I'll explain the ending of The Rental. This video will contain contain spoilers for The Rental, so make sure you watch the movie first before watching this video. Anyways, let's get started. There's a few questions we need to answer after watching the movie. First of all, did Mina survive the fall or not? The movie didn't explicitly show her body, so it's possible that she didn't actually die. Well, it turns out that this theory might be true. In an interview with the Los Angeles Times, director Dave Franco talked about this exact moment. They didn't show Mina's body because they wanted to leave it up to the viewers to have their own interpretations of whether or not she survived the fall. Furthermore, why would the big twist be that the killer is the former renter rather than Taylor? Dave Franco said that he always wondered why we trust the people we're renting to, and how there must be people who stay in these rental homes and then make copies of the keys and come back at a later date to do whatever they want. It felt like an idea worth exploring. The movie never reveals who the actual killer is, nor does it provide a motive for why the killer is doing all of this. As it turns out, this was a deliberate choice for the filmmakers. In an interview with Collider, Dave Franco explained that they wanted to keep the identity of the killer unknown. It was like that in the original script. They had some versions of the script where the villain was monologuing about why they were doing what they were doing, but it felt too preachy and cheesy, so it was removed. It's a lot creepier to leave it ambiguous. Since the killer survived, this also leaves room for a sequel, where he does this to another unsuspecting group of people. Will a sequel to The Rental ever happen? Yes, it probably will. They purposely allowed the killer to have a clean getaway so they could continue with the story. Dave Franco indicated that he has a pretty strong idea for what he would do with the sequel. He wants to explore the mythology of the villain a bit more and also set the story outside of the United States, because there are Airbnbs and home shares all over the world. As mentioned before, Mina might still be alive, so she could make a return in the sequel. However, she wouldn't really be able to go to the police or tell anybody what happened. Remember, the killer removed all the cameras and other evidence from the house. If Mina told anyone about this incident, nobody would believe her because she doesn't have any solid proof. In fact, they might think she was the one who killed the other 3 people. Additionally, there's a reason why Reggie was the only one who was shown to be alive at the end. Reggie was technically the only one who didn't do anything wrong, so that's why the filmmakers kept him alive. You might be thinking that Michelle technically didn't do anything wrong either, but she didn't call the police when she should have and allowed the other characters to get away with murder, so she's also guilty. Audience members usually sympathize with animals more than humans, so Reggie was kept alive to at least give the audience a little bit of a win. Overall, the movie has a few messages. The first would be to do the right thing. The reason why the characters got into this mess in the first place is because they didn't call the police right away after finding the camera in the shower. If they did that, then none of this would have happened. Even if they came clean and called the police after Taylor died, they still would have probably survived. But none of the characters wanted to confess what they did and ended up just digging their own graves. It's ironic because in a lot of horror movies, there's a specific reason why the characters' phones don't work. However, in this movie, the characters' phones work fine. They just chose not to call the police. That's a great way to subvert a common horror trope. A second message is that we have to be more skeptical and we shouldn't be so trusting of people we don't know. This movie was inspired by Dave Franco's own paranoia about the concept of home sharing. He mentioned how it was weird that our country is divided and no one trusts each other, but when it comes to staying in the home of a stranger, they'll trust them simply because of a few positive reviews online. People are probably all aware of the risks and dangers of staying in a stranger's home, but they don't think that anything is ever going to happen to them, so they continue to do it out of necessity and/or convenience. What did you think of The Rental? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. I personally thought it was pretty decent. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Us is a 2019 American psychological horror thriller movie. It's written and directed by Jordan Peele. In this video, let's take a look at some Us Easter eggs and trivia. The movie starts with a commercial for Hands Across America. Jordan Peele said that he chose to include this in the movie because it perfectly represents the duality of America. There were lots of VHS tapes near the TV, including the movies The Right Stuff, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Man with Two Brains, Chud, and The Goonies. The Chud reference in particular is very fitting. That movie is about a photographer who becomes aware of a conspiracy theory about monsters lurking in the sewers. Furthermore, Jordan Peele's girlfriend's father directed Chud. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Anna Diab play Adelaide's parents. They have both starred in DC Comics productions. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II played Black Manta in Aquaman, and Anna Diab plays Starfire in Titans. We see that Adelaide received a Michael Jackson Thriller t-shirt. The first part of the movie takes place in the year 1986, so Michael Jackson was pretty big back then. Furthermore, the red jumpsuit and the one glove that the tethered characters wear is based on Michael Jackson's outfit from the Thriller music video. Adelaide's mother says that they're filming a movie near the boardwalk. This is a reference to the 1987 movie The Lost Boys. The Lost Boys was filmed filmed in 1986 at the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. The whack-a-mole guy is wearing a Black Flag t-shirt. The cover of Black Flag's greatest album, Damage, features Henry Rollins punching a reflection of himself in the mirror. The homeless guy is holding a sign that says Jeremiah 11:11. This is a Bible verse. Therefore, this is what the Lord says. I will bring on them a disaster they cannot escape. Although they cry out to me, I will not listen to them. This Bible verse definitely fits the theme of the movie. Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke play a couple in this movie. They both starred in the 2018 movie Black Panther. Lupita Nyong'o played Nakia, and Winston Duke played M'Baku. Jason is wearing a Jaws shirt. Jaws is a 1975 American thriller movie directed by Steven Spielberg. Jordan Peele actually had to ask permission from Steven Spielberg to show the Jaws shirt. During the end credits, there was even a special thanks for Steven Spielberg. The song that plays in the car is I Got Five on It. This song is about paying half of a dime bag with another person. That's quite fitting considering the subject of this movie. Gabe is wearing a Howard University shirt. Jordan Peele stated that he chose this specific shirt because it's unique. There has never been a lead character in a horror movie wearing a Howard University shirt, or really any character in any movie. Zora is wearing a shirt that says toe on it. This means rabbit in Vietnamese. Zora was also wearing another rabbit shirt earlier in the movie. Jason uses a toy ambulance to keep the closet door open. An ambulance is the final vehicle that the Wilson family drives at the end of the movie. Red talks with a very raspy voice. This voice was inspired by a condition called spasmodic dysphonia. It's a disorder in which the muscles that generate a person's voice go into a period of spasm. Gwen and Maggie both get murdered by their doppelgangers. The shot of them laying on the ground is very similar to the twins from The Shining. Zora uses a golf club to kill several of the tethered characters. Furthermore, Gabe kills Tex on a boat. Both of these are references to the movie Funny Games. In that movie, golf clubs are used and there is also a scene on a boat. Additionally, Gabe's leg injury is similar to the father in Funny Games. Zora is eating Fruit Loops without milk. This is definitely a reference to Get Out. The 1990 movie Home Alone is mentioned several times in the movie's dialogue. First by Gabe, then Adelaide, and finally Zora. During the ballerina flashback scenes, the song Pas They Do from the Nutcracker plays. This song title means dance for two in French. Jordan Peele actually has a cameo in the movie. He voices one of the dying rabbits. This is very similar to Get Out. In that movie, Jordan Peele voiced a dying deer. The movie was filmed in California. Filming took place from July 2018 to October 2018. Most of the movie was shot in Los Angeles, and the main house featured in the movie is located in Pasadena. This movie was produced by Jordan Peele, Jason Blum, and Sean McKittrick. The trio also collaborated on Get Out and BlacKkKlansman. Jordan Peele has stated that the Twilight Zone episode Mirror Image was the inspiration for this movie. That episode is about a woman named Melissa Barnes, who has a strange feeling that her doppelganger is trying to take over her life. Furthermore, Jordan Peele has said that a lot of other movies have also influenced this movie. These movies include The Birds, The Shining, Dead Again, Funny Games, The Sixth Sense, A Tale of Two Sisters, Let the Right One In, Martyrs, The Babadook, and It Follows. This movie actually had a perfect score of 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's gone down a bit now, but that's still very impressive. Furthermore, Get Out also started with a 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II all went to the Yale School of Drama. In fact, Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke were classmates. Winston Duke and Anna Diop have both appeared in the CW TV series The Messengers. Winston Duke played Zahir Zakaria, and Anna Diop played Rose Arval. Industrial Light and Magic was the company that did the visual effects for this movie. Brady Cofer was the visual effects supervisor. He was also the visual effects supervisor for a lot of other movies, including Ready Player One. Well, that's it for this video. What did you think of us? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Also, let me know which is your favorite horror thriller movie. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos. Also, don't forget to turn on notifications for my channel so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. The Babysitter Killer Queen is a 2020 American comedy horror movie. If you're unsure about the ending and want to know what comes next, then you definitely came to the right place. In this video, I'll explain the ending of The Babysitter Killer Queen. This video will contain spoilers for The Babysitter Killer Queen, so make sure you watch that movie first before watching this video. Anyways, let's get started. Melanie captures Phoebe and plans to use her to lure Cole back. Meanwhile, Cole wakes up and drives his dad's car to the cove. Cole eventually arrives and willingly gives himself up, but then Bee emerges out of the water, and we find out that she was also Phoebe's babysitter. Bee was driving Phoebe during the day of the accident. She made a deal with the devil, so that's how Phoebe survived. It wasn't a miracle. Melanie takes Cole's blood, and then we see that Sonia, Allison, Max, and John have been resurrected for the ritual. Melanie mixes Cole's blood along with the blood of the partygoer they killed earlier. The characters drink the blood, but it turns out that the ritual doesn't work, because Cole isn't innocent anymore, since he had Phoebe earlier. All of the characters who drank the blood disintegrate one by one, while Queen's Killer Queen song plays in the background. This explains where the movie's subtitle Killer Queen comes from. It's then revealed that Bee set everything up so that Cole and Phoebe would meet each other and team up to defeat the cult. Suddenly, Cole's dad shows up out of nowhere. I'm guessing he ran all the way here? If so, that's quite impressive. Bee tells Cole that the demons need to be defeated or he dies, and that she's the last demon. Bee drinks the tainted blood and sacrifices herself so that Cole can live. Cole's dad sees the whole thing and believes what Cole was saying about the cult. Morning arrives and Cole kisses Phoebe. Finally, the movie ends with a scene of Cole talking to his guidance counselor. In the mid-credit scene, we return to the Cove, and the Devil's Book is shown. It wasn't destroyed. So, what's next? Well, the mid-credit scene strongly hints at a sequel. Maybe someone else will find the Devil's Book and start their own cult. Furthermore, in an interview with Screen Rant, Judah Lewis, the actor who plays Cole, talked about a sequel. Here's what he said. There are so many different paths to go. Not only does Cole's relationship with his dad change, but his relationship with Phoebe would also be a really interesting thing to explore and see where it goes. Plus, he's got to get through high school, and I'm sure like always there are demons lurking just beyond the shadows that are ready to strike at any moment. Moreover, earlier in the film, Max says that they have to finish this by sunrise, or they'll have to go back down to limbo for another 2 years before they can try again. So perhaps a sequel to this movie will take place 2 years later again, just like how this movie took place 2 years after the first Babysitter movie. Sonia, Allison, Max, and John could return to try and get revenge on Cole, although I hope the filmmakers don't just repeat the same exact story beats that happened in this film. Cole is currently a junior in high school, so if the sequel does take place 2 years later, then he should be starting college, and I think that would be a good place to set the story. It would be interesting to see where Cole is in life now. Overall, I'd say that the main theme of the movie is learning to deal with trauma. Cole and Phoebe both experience a lot of emotional pain and suffering, and nobody was able to understand exactly how they felt, except for each other. For instance, Phoebe immediately believed Cole after he told her what happened, and Cole also didn't reject Phoebe after she told him about the accident. After surviving the night together, both Cole and Phoebe were finally able to move on and put their traumatic past behind them. As Cole explained in the movie, we always find our strength through adversity. Additionally, the whole Queen reference is very fitting. In the first Babysitter movie, Queen's We Are the Champions play during the climax, when Cole finally takes power into his own hands. Or maybe this entire movie was one big JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reference. I can't wait for the sequel to be called The Babysitter King Crimson. The Babysitter Killer Queen has been getting mostly negative reviews from critics, but audiences seem to enjoy it for the most part. Netflix's other movie Bright got similar reviews, and that's getting a sequel. So if The Babysitter Killer Queen ends up being a popular movie for Netflix, I'm sure they'll also greenlight a sequel sooner or later. What did you think of The Babysitter Killer Queen? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. I personally thought it was pretty decent. The acting was great and I enjoyed all the funny jokes. The pop culture references were also pretty awesome. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future upload. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. You Should Have Left is a 2020 American psychological horror movie. It's based on the 2017 book of the same name. If you're unsure about the ending, then you definitely came to the right place. In this video, I'll explain the ending of You Should Have Left. This video will contain spoilers for You Should Have Left, so make sure you watch that movie first before watching this video. Anyways, let's get started. So at the end, we find out that Theo isn't completely innocent, and he was indeed responsible for his previous wife's death. Theo didn't directly kill her, but he also didn't save her when she fell asleep in the bathtub and drowned. Even though he saw it happen and could have pulled her out, Theo explains that he was unhappy with the marriage and hated his previous wife. He should have left years before, but he didn't do that. Theo decides to stay behind at the house and lets Susanna and Ella leave. He can't run away from his past anymore and must now atone for his sins. Then there's voiceover saying that people have always stayed in that house. Some don't leave, but the right ones usually find the place. Or maybe it's the other way around, the place finds them. Finally, the movie ends with a house listing rental being available again. I think that the title of this movie, You Should Have Left, does a good job explaining the movie's message. If you're unhappy with something, you should leave it before it's too late, instead of being miserable and forcing yourself to continue. If Theo left his previous wife years ago, then he wouldn't be in this situation. He wouldn't have to live with the guilt of not being able to save her, or the stigma of being a murderer. Now history has repeated itself. Theo got out of one unhappy marriage, but he's stuck in another one, as we find out that his wife Susanna was cheating on him. She had 2 phones and she was sleeping with another man. Theo realizes that no matter what he does, he'll always end up in an unhappy relationship, so this time he must leave his relationship while he still has a chance, and stay behind by himself. The house itself represents a sort of purgatory for people who have sinned in the past. As we learn in the movie, the house used to be a tower that was built by the devil to collect souls, and God destroyed it, but the devil just built it up again and again. Earlier in the movie, Theo was talking to his daughter about going to heaven. He said that they'll all be together again in heaven when they die. However, Theo was very doubtful about what he said. This is because Theo knows the truth, and he knows that he won't be going to heaven because he's not innocent. So, will there be a sequel to You Should Have Left? Well, there's no sequel to the original You Should Have Left novel, so if they do make a sequel, it'll have to be an original story. Maybe the sequel will be about another family going to the house, and their experiences inside of it. Just like how the Purge movies follow different characters during different purges, You Should Have Left only had a $4 million budget, so I'm sure sure it will be very profitable for the studio, and they might consider making a sequel if there's enough of a demand. What did you think of You Should Have Left? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. I personally thought it was pretty mediocre. It was watchable but didn't really do anything to stand out. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future upload. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. The Craft Legacy is a 2020 American supernatural horror movie. It's the sequel to 1996's cult classic film The Craft. In this video, I'll explain the ending of the movie and how it sets up another sequel. Let's get started. So at the end we find out that Adam Harrison is the real villain behind everything. He's part of a pagan cult and wanted Lily's powers for himself. Adam pretends to be Lily's mother Helen, but Lily is able to see past the disguise. Adam then knocks Lily unconscious, and she wakes up in the forest during the middle of the night, and Adam reveals that he's the one who killed Timmy. Adam is about to also kill Lily, but Timmy contacts Lily's friends through the Ouija board, and they show up just in time to save Lily. By using their powers, the girls freeze Adam, but Adam breaks free and there's a brief fight scene. By working together, the girls are able to eventually defeat Adam. Afterwards, Lily goes to meet her birth mother, and it's actually Nancy Downs, a character from the first Craft movie, played by actress Fairuza Balk. It was a pretty easy guess if you've seen the first Craft movie, because Nancy was committed to a psychiatric hospital at the end. So what does this mean for the future of the Craft franchise? In an interview with Harper's Bazaar, writer-director Zoe Lister-Jones was asked about the Fairuza Balk cameo. Here's what she said. Well, Fairuza Balk is everything to me. In a nutshell, that sort of was the inspiration. If you're going to talk about the Craft, you're talking about Fairuza Balk, and that's not taking away from the contributions of the entire cast. Each of those women is so iconic, but just as an actor and a young woman, Fairuza Balk was so important to me, and so influential and so inspiring, and I think Nancy Downs as a character is just so deeply resonant and lasting. I like the idea of bringing her back in a way that could tease the potential of a sequel. That would be the story of being an intergenerational narrative that could incorporate how that generation of witches would band together with the current one potentially. In the same interview, Zoe Lister-Jones also later stated that she would be open to doing a sequel, if the people demand it. Overall, the main thing Zoe Lister-Jones hopes people get out of the Craft legacy is that the film can inspire young women. Moreover, for people to feel emboldened in their singularity, and that we are all the more powerful when we celebrate that singularity and community. There are a lot of oppressive systems to dismantle, but if we take them on from all sides and together, hopefully we can create a new and better world. Nancy's appearance at the end proves that this is not a reboot or remake. This means that the other characters from the first Craft movie are also still around, and could possibly appear in a later installment. Do those characters also have kids? Furthermore, there are a lot more questions the sequel has to answer. For example, we still don't know who Lily's biological father is, so they're probably also going to explore that topic in the sequel. Also, what happened to Adam's 3 sons? Did they know the truth about Adam? How are they going to react to his death? Yet again, even more questions that need answering in a sequel. Currently, there are no plans for a sequel to the Craft legacy, but there was a 24-year gap between the first and second movie, so anything is possible in the future. What did you think of the Craft legacy? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. I personally thought it wasn't very good, to be honest. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future upload. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. The Lie is a psychological thriller movie. If you're unsure about the ending and also want to know some of the movie's deeper themes, then you definitely came to the right place. In this video, I'll explain the ending of The Lie. So at the end we see that Brittany is still alive. She just wanted to see her boyfriend, so she and Kayla came up with this elaborate story. It's too bad that Rebecca and Jay found this out the morning after they killed Brittany's father Sam the previous night. Kayla explains that she was going to tell her parents the truth, but she saw that they were happy and bonding together. Kayla wanted to keep them like this because it was how they were before the divorce. Finally, the movie ends with Kayla and her parents hugging. You can also hear police sirens in the background, and the doorbell is ringing. Based on this, we can assume that the police found Sam's body, and they're coming to arrest Rebecca and Jay for his murder. The ending is pretty straightforward, but one of the major underlying themes of this movie is actually racial injustice, and how people are treated differently based on the color of their skin. The Lie is a remake of the 2015 German movie We Monsters. Writer and director Vina Sud wanted this version of the movie to tell the story of the country she lived in. In the movie, Sam explains that he's Pakistani. This was done on purpose to show how the police treat him versus a white person. In the original German movie, everyone was white. Here's what Vina Sud had to say about this topic in an interview with Daily Dead. In terms of the character Sam Efrani, the Pakistani dad, it was really important to me when I decided to do an American version of The Lie that it be an American version. Of course, I wasn't wasn't anticipating the uprising, but the issues that the uprising deal with in terms of racism from law enforcement and the criminal justice system have been happening for decades. I wanted this story to be addressing that, an aspect of that. So yes, at the heart of The Lie is also a story about when a brown man is the victim of a crime too. Often he becomes a perceived perpetrator because of the country that we live in, because of the deeply flawed so-called criminal justice system that we abide by. So yes, the fact that the film is coming out now is certainly resonant. Moreover, The Lie mostly takes place in Rebecca's house, which is very clean and orderly, even though the movie itself is very chaotic. This was yet another deliberate choice. Here's what Vina Sood said. That was the whole visual theme of The Lie. The conflict between what seems to be a beautiful bucolic suburban world and a beautiful white house with no garbage anywhere, and the horror that lies beneath, the truth that no one's talking about. We start off in the woods, where it looks like we're in a Christmas card, and there's a dead girl's body on the banks of a river. So those two, the sweet and the sour, are always interesting to me. I always love putting something where it doesn't belong. So to take a home like Rebecca's, which is so pristine and clean lines and perfectly painted white walls, it's almost as though no one lives there. And to put three people who are losing their minds in a house made of glass, where everyone can look in, is drama to me. Overall, I personally thought that the final reveal and payoff wasn't really worth it. Kayla should have just confessed and told the truth after the police got involved. She didn't seem to realize how serious the whole situation was. Additionally, some of the characters' decisions in the movie were just baffling, and didn't make a lot of sense. What did you think of The Lie? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. I thought it was cliche and mediocre. The acting was decent, but the story was really lackluster, and the movie's big twist was kind of obvious. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.